35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7.
6.
5.
4.
3.
2.
1.
It's time for mouthwash. Giddy up.
Good evening and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics where we have civil discussions most of the time about issues in the news and issues that affect us every day. And tonight we're going to do a best of show for you. And this is all past little clips and whatnot that sort of sums up what Mouthwash is about and what we've done over the years. And it would be appropriate to have our very first clip to be the conspiracy theory. And this is what I still think is one of the best conspiracy theories we've had. And that's Ashton when she talks about the birds. So we're going to go ahead and play that. And on the other side, we'll start just rolling these clips out. And hopefully you enjoy the best of highlights of the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. So here we go. Hey, let's see that conspiracy theory.
Hey, y'all, better get your tinfoil hats out. It's time for the conspiracy theory. Come on now, let's go.
All right, so everybody buckle up because I'm about to blow your minds. Birds are not real, all right? Let's just establish that right now. Reagan killed them all off in the 80s and replaced them with government drones. So I would like to give you some examples, if you would. All right, so all the other planets in our solar system, they don't have birds. They also don't have any deaths on their planet, but Earth has birds and a lot of people die. So, take that as you will. And then if you look on the right, the government forgot to take the wrapping off one of their drones and they let it out. They got lazy. I don't know if it was someone trying to send us a signal so we could figure it out, but they didn't unwrap one of their drones. It got loose. And then this one pretty much speaks for itself. If you see, they ran out of cameras, so they just used one of their bird drones. And then Da Vinci drew plans for a bird long before the CIA invented them. So the CIA actually stole this from Da Vinci. And it's illegal to kill bald eagles because they are the most expensive government drones, and it costs way too much to replace them. And here you can see it says this area is under constant surveillance and we're watching like a hawk. And they put a drone there, a bird drone. And then on the right, it's all the birds before they were electric. They were being filled up with gas. So it's just photo proof. And then this was a government drone being sent to spy on Bernie Sanders at one of his rallies. And then on the right, you can see the American drone fighting with the Russian drone. So I think that's a really good.
Now that's a good conspiracy theory right there. And I'm not sure if it's not really true. Sadly, Ashton had to step away after about 8 episodes. And then after about 20 episodes, we got this news from Jacob. So let's take a look at this and see what happened.
Thought. So, hey, Jacob, go ahead and tell us what your new opportunity is.
Well, basically, to kind of give you guys a little recap, I'm currently a college student. As some of you guys might know, I've been studying marketing. So I finally got myself a little marketing entry-level position in insurance at State Farm. And so I've just been kind of looking for something part-time right now to just get myself some more practical experience in the door. So I'm getting about maybe 30, 35 hours a week right now. And then I'll also be kind of supplementing it with the other side work that I tend to do and all that. But my schedule's gonna be kind of a little crazy, so I would hate to not be able to have to break my commitment to the show. It'd be kind of a week by week thing. Like this Tuesday I might be able to, this other Tuesday maybe not. So just since I can't be a full commitment, it would be hard to keep everything going. But I will say I've really enjoyed the show. I've learned a lot about some really important issues that I've had to research. I've debated a lot of interesting people, and it really has been a wonderful experience. And John, I gotta thank you so much for inviting me to be on the show. It's been my sincere pleasure, and Lucy and Ed, and everybody else that comes on our show. It's been wonderful, and I've enjoyed every second of it.
So we had to find replacements for our two star hosts that really kicked off the show. And so when Ashton stepped away from the show, we had to find another left-leaning person. We found a diamond in the rough. We found Ed Liptrap from South Bend, Indiana, and Ed has just been a joy to have on the show. And I'm going to play a little funny. He's just sort of you just gotta like Ed. He's just sort of a lovable guy.
Ed, I have to commend you on your hat. I mean, you definitely win the hat prize today. So what do you got for us on
my wife?
Oh, okay, yeah, I knew you had help.
I want to see the profile of that hat. Is that like a snake coming out of your head? Ah, okay.
Well, look, he made a little effort there, Ed. That's the Huntington Beach special, I assume. So, hey, guess what, Ed? We're going to start with you because I just want to know if it's going to be I want to see what you talk about this week to see who comes and gets you. So fill us in on what happened to you last week, first of all. Fill us in on what happened after last week's.
I am scared this week, actually, because less than 24 hours after making fun of Spirit Airlines, I got stuck at O'Hare where they didn't delay my flight. They just flat out canceled my flight. And not only that, they just bounced me to another airline. So now I'm really worried who's watching us.
You've really stepped up your game, Ed. I got to give you some credit for that.
I'm waiting for Tiffany's.
What? And we love having Ed on the show. Now let's talk about Tiffany. Now Tiffany came in and took over for Jacob. And so now we're going to play a little clip of her conspiracy theory. I wonder what she's going to talk about. So Tiffany, do you have a hypothesis? I mean, generally you have a more of a dating scene thing, but yeah. So go on ahead. Go on and do your, because I think Ed actually has one this week. I really do. I think he's got one. Yeah. So go ahead, Tiffany.
All I can say is the dating population of men, good candidates that are great fits and great personalities and conservative. Obviously, he's conservative. The population is truly, truly extinct. There's nothing good out there. That's
wow. Well, I mean, is there such a thing as an Afghan Bigfoot? I mean, has anybody looked into that?
I don't know, but of the top 6, I'm pretty sure he's not going to meet any of the top 6. I don't think there's anything for me in that pool because Mama does have a top 6. So, yeah, and it's pretty much extinct. So I might as well be looking for a unicorn. So.
Tiffany's dating prowess has definitely become a topic on the show, and she's always been after that elusive Bigfoot. But now let's talk about Lucy. Lucy Brenton came on, and really not as our center person because this was a right, left, center show, but she's Lucy the Libertarian. And I'll tell you what, she don't take sass from nobody. So now I'm going to play a clip from one of our shows, which I would say it's not even arguably the most pretentious scene in our show ever, because we are, a civil discussion group here, but this one got a little heated. So I just have to play this little clip of Lucy not taking any crap from nobody. So here you go. Take a look at this. Here we go.
Pastor Pell and I go around and round on things like this, but all I'm going to say is there are a dozen parties in Indiana that Pastor Powell hasn't run under the banner of yet, and perhaps he can make his way through all of them before he decides to say, oh, gee, if you can't win by being truthful and forthright, then just side with the oppressors. Good luck for siding with the oppressors, Mark.
Well, the microphone now. To be truthful and forthright,
I'm glad you were
right, Lucy. Let me respond to this because it was a personal attack. I just like to say, once I found out that the chairman of the Libertarian Party of the state of Indiana is a convicted felon, Class B felony, and has been a grifter for a
You
good chunk of
called,
his life.
hey, Mark,
That has
Mark,
been.
you
That
called
has
one of
been.
my
That
party
has been.
leaders a
That
mutt
has
because
been.
he's
That
interracial.
has been
You called a
convicted.
black and
He's
white
been
mixed
convicted,
person
and
a
not
mutt.
only that,
If you want
not
to go
only
for
that,
personal attacks, you're a
he's been
racist.
He's been
You
convicted,
are a
and you know it
racist.
as well as I do.
You
And
are
not only
racist.
that, but
Well, that escalated quickly, and as you can see, Lucy does not back down. But I want to just go ahead and play one of her conspiracy theories that she has, or as she says, conspiracy fact. So let's take a listen to one of those. Lucy, what do you got? I know you have something.
V for Vendetta is real. It's a documentary of the future. Time travel is real, and our friends from the future have created the V for Vendetta movie as a way to document what's actually happening and warning us in the future. That fear used by politicians can destroy societies, the very fabric of society, and that using a virus, something invisible that no one can see, is absolutely brilliant because you can't prove it's there. You can't prove it at all. And so the movie is something that you should look at, and especially the ending, and understand that when we rise up together, we defeat the elite.
Never a dull moment on the show, as you can see from our conspiracy theory, which is generally at the end of the show, but we try to keep it light because some of these topics get a little bit heavy. But now I'm going to roll into the Peeps on the Street portion. And we had Thomas Breedlove do a couple episodes of Peeps on the Streets at the Indianapolis Skateboard Journalist.
What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Saquon. What's your name?
I'm Tom Breedlove.
Hi, Tom Breedlove. Hey.
What do you think about education, scale of 1 to 10?
I will say it's a 3. Just personally, because I feel like teachers don't get paid enough. And then as far as like what they teach and how they teach it, it's also very uniform. It's very old, by the book. And then you get out here and you know nothing at all. You know nothing. You know about the 1700s though, but you know nothing about right now.
That's my Peeps on the Street for this week, John. I'm Tom Breedlove, the Indianapolis Skateboard Journalist.
And a special thanks goes out to Thomas Breedlove, the Indianapolis Skateboard Journalist. And you can catch him on YouTube. Just look up the Indianapolis Skateboard Journalist. Subscribe. He does some interesting things around and about Indianapolis. Now let's take a look at some of the highlights of the Peeps on the Streets that I was able to go out and do. I had a blast doing this. This is John Schmitz for Peeps on the Streets for the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And I'm down here on Mass Ave in beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana, an extraordinarily safe city, to ask the Peeps on the Streets what they think about voting integrity. Do you think our elections are free from fraud and fair?
I do.
Do you think that the parties should be as involved as they are in counting the election and taking care of the election?
I do. The people.
Okay. Last question. Do you vote?
I do.
All right. Thank you. This is John Schmitz for Peeps on the Streets. I'm out here at the Butler campus, and we're going to ask some of the students out here what they think about the vax. I'm here actually with somebody that's taller than me, and that's rare. But do you feel that it's your choice to be able to get the vax or not?
Yeah, I think it's optional for whoever thinks that they should, they shouldn't. People haven't been getting vaccinated for things before COVID for a long time, so I understand it. I think it's good. I personally got it myself, but I mean, I think it's an option for everyone.
Now, were you are on the Butler team. Now, were you forced to get that or to play, or did they give it option?
No, I had an option. They wouldn't make us do anything like that we weren't comfortable doing. So.
Okay, good. Do you feel the vaccine's safe?
Personally, yeah, I think it was safe. I haven't had any issues thus far with mine, so I mean.
Hi, this is John Schmitz for Peeps on the Streets, the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And I'm down here, Brickyard Weekend, on Main Street and Speedway, and we're going to ask the race fans what they think about the vaccine. I think the vaccine is safe.
I do think this vaccine is safe.
All right. Do you mind me asking if you've been vaccinated or not vaccinated?
I have been vaccinated.
You've been vaccinated. I have. Do you think that masks and vaccination should be mandatory?
I do not like masks at all, but if it keeps us safe and someone else safe, I guess why not?
Hi, this is John Schmitz for Peeps on the Streets, and I was at the God and Country Conference again this Monday, and that is a really quick way to get some quick answers to our questions. And I think you're going to recognize a few of the folks in the Peeps on the Streets this week. So hey, let's get to it.
CRT, would you think you are somewhat familiar, not familiar, or really know a lot about it?
Well, I'm as familiar with it as I need to be to recognize that it doesn't have much value as a teaching tool. Certainly, I'm one that believes that in academia, all things are on the table, but I think it's important for us to learn about it so that if we find merit in it, that's one thing. If we don't, we certainly argue against it. Based on what I know about it so far, I think it doesn't really have a place in our school system. Certainly at the college level, one can debate it and talk about it and discuss it. But I think it's something that people should understand what it's about and then do their level best at the school board and the local communities to deal with it effectively if you don't agree with it.
Yeah, well, that's the next question is, do you think it should be in the schools, which you've already answered. So my last question is, do you think the media overplays race?
Oh, absolutely. The media overplays race. The Democratic Party overplays race. Race has become the fundamental vehicle for anti-Americanism, and it's appalling. We have serious issues in race in this country. We've had them. We still have them. But we've also come a great deal of distance since 1964, 1965, and we need to recognize that and build from that and move beyond that and get to a point where we can all work together, recognizing that we have flaws, but recognizing that we have value and when we come together and work together as a community.
All right, all right. Well, we look forward to having Curtis on the show tonight, so, hey, you'll get to hear more from him. Hi, this is John Schmitz for Peeps on the Streets for the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And today we got a special Peeps on the Streets for you because we're going to ask fourth grade boys what it is to be a man. So this ought to be interesting. Let's see what they have to say. What's the difference between a boy and a man?
A man is older and a boy's younger.
Oh, since you say that, how old do you think you have to be before you're declared a man?
20.
You think 20 is a good answer? Okay, could you give me a good example of a man that you know that is a good role model?
My dad.
Okay. Oh, what's the difference between a man and a boy?
A man is a adult and a kid is like a boy.
Okay. How old do you have to be before you're declared a man?
At least 18.
At least 18. Okay. How about this? Could you give me an example of a good role model that's a male in your life?
Of course, my dad.
Okay. Very good. What's the difference between a boy and a man?
One's taller and one's shorter.
Okay. How old do you have to be before somebody calls you a man?
At least 22.
At least 22. Okay. Do you have a good role model or mentor in your life that is a male that you could think of?
My dad.
Hi, this is John Schmitz for Peeps on the Streets. I'm down here in Lawrenceburg, Indiana at a bike race to do the Peeps on the Streets. And what better place to talk about sports than, at a bike race? So let's see what the people have to say down here around the racetrack. Do you believe college athletes should be getting paid?
Yes.
Now, do you think that marijuana is a performance-enhancing drug? It's a yes, no, maybe.
I guess it depends on the individual.
I don't know if that's right. Okay. And last question, what do you think about folks that kneel for the national anthem and the flag? Are you good, bad, or no opinion?
Gotta stand. Gotta stand for it.
Gotta stand. All right, thank you very much. Hi, this is John Schmitz for Peeps on the Streets, and I'm out here at Riverside Park here in Indianapolis. And let's go ahead and see what the people have to say out here today. Do you think black people are treated fairly?
No.
No. All right. Do you think? Do you? Hey, I'm asking the questions here. You have to tune into our show to hear the discussion part. So that's a little teaser.
Okay.
But how about? Do you think politicians divide us with race?
Yes. I do.
Okay. Final question. Do you think race relations are getting better, worse, or about the same?
About the same.
About the same.
I would say about the same.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Hi, this is John Schmitz for Peeps on the Streets, and I'm down here at Meet Me Under the Bridge in the ACLU parking lot where we serve homeless folks every Sunday at 3 p.m. And hey, we're going to do the Peeps on the Streets down here, so let's see what the folks have to say. Do you think our society has become more violent, less violent, or about the same?
More violent.
More violent?
No doubt.
Would you say there was more crimes in the city or in rural areas?
Honestly, they're more in the city, but they're actually moving out to the rural areas, to be honest with you.
So, final question. Do you think the
criminal justice system is fair to everyone?
No. Actually, I don't believe the criminal justice system is fair to anybody.
This is John Schmitz. I'm down here for Peeps on the Streets at the Wham Fest in Greenwood. And hey, we're going to ask some more questions about COVID and hope we don't get kicked off of YouTube for doing such a thing. So do you trust the hospitals and health officials' diagnosis of COVID deaths?
That's a tough question. Because I initially, yes, I did. However, my stepdad is very involved in working with hospitals, and he said, like, you have to question each one and know, like, okay, like, what else was going on? Like, what's underlying, and what could they just say was COVID, because there may or may not have been a financial benefit.
Do you know anyone that's passed away that's under 40?
Not passed away, no, but I know a lot of people who have been under 40 and who got sick.
So have you had COVID yourself?
No.
Have you had the vaccine?
Yes.
Were you required to get the vaccine from?
No, I was not required.
You got, how long ago did you get it?
I got it in May.
In May. Side effects?
None.
None? Do you know anybody that got the shot that got COVID?
Yes, I do. One of my friends, and she's in very good health. She is 23 years old and is in the best health of anyone I know, and she still got sick. But it was like 3 weeks ago maybe, so it definitely could have been the Delta variant, that because she got her vaccine back in May as well.
Well, that'll do it for Peeps on the Streets out here at Riverside Park, Indianapolis, at the Juneteenth celebration. And I'll tell you what, I got these interviews done in record time and such nice people willing to talk.
There you have some highlights from the Peeps on the Streets. And another popular segment we have is the Cameo Take. And we've had some pretty cool people come on and give their take on the topic of the day. So let's take a look and see at some of those highlights.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Jason Hammer here from Hammer and Nigel Show, 93 WIBC, every afternoon from 3 until 7 p.m. Talking about the legalization of sports betting here in the great state of Indiana. And to talk about this, you kind of have to talk about New Jersey first, because it was Chris Christie in New Jersey who took on the court system to allow other states to have legal sports betting, because Nevada kind of had the stranglehold on all of this. And there was a law called PASPA, P-A-S-P-A. It's an acronym. You can look it up. But it basically prohibited a lot of the other states from doing sports betting. Well, Chris Christie took that to the court system, got all the way to the Supreme Court, and won the case. So once New Jersey was allowed to proceed with sports betting, other states then kind of had the green light, and that includes the state of Indiana. The way that it works here in Indiana, honestly, is really good. They have one of the best sports betting books in all of America. The way that this bill is set up to where you can bet wagers in casino, at physical sports books, as well as on the app, on mobile and digital devices, which is where the majority of the money comes from. Now, speaking of the money, where does the money go? The state of Indiana will get some revenue from all of these bets being made at all these various different sources. Indiana Gaming Commission puts all that together. There's a thing called the general fund where this money is going to go. Now, the money from sports betting goes into a general fund, and your lawmakers get together and decide what they want to do with that. And it's usually nothing too exciting, right? We're not talking about teacher pay or anything like that. If the state fairgrounds needs a new swine barn, this is the kind of money that you can use to fix that. The kind of stuff that you need things fixed with, but you really don't want to spend a lot of your own money on, that's where the gambling money in Indiana comes from. But it's been a great success in the state of Indiana. College basketball, pro basketball, football. Football's king in the world of sports betting. And the state of Indiana, it does really well. New Jersey is kind of the runaway leader in terms of money bets and revenue generated and all that kind of stuff. But the state of Indiana does really well. And don't forget, with the sports betting bill that went through a couple years ago, they also made it so that the casinos in Anderson and Shelbyville could have actual cards and dealers, something that could not have been done during the Mike Pence administration because he saw that as an expansion of gaming. once he was no longer the governor. Chris Christie defeats the Supreme Court. Here we go. Legal sports betting and cards at the closest casinos to Indianapolis. That's how it all works. That's where the money goes, and that's how it all breaks down. You folks have a fantastic day.
Hey, I'm Micah Beckwith. I'm a pastor and a political influencer. I'm here on the Cameo spot on Mouthwash. It's good to be with you all. My take on inflation is one of we're really up against a bomb that's about ready to go off, an economic bomb. If you ask my opinion, I think our dollar is losing great value because of how much we are printing. We are printing like we've never printed before. I mean, the last 5 years, we've printed so much money. I think 40% of every dollar that is right now currently in circulation has been printed. 40% of the dollars have been printed in the last 2.5 to 3 years. Think about that for a second. That is astonishing right now. And with inflation, it's all about buying power. Our dollar is losing its buying power. $80,000 that right now was not the same as it was 10 years ago. You're losing the ability to be able to purchase with the dollar, and it's coming right from bad economic policy that the Biden administration is pushing. And you know what, GOP, the Republicans are to blame too. I mean, I'm a Republican, but boy, I tell you what, we have just as much to blame to go around for on our side of the aisle. We've got to get people back in line with fiscal responsibility. And if we don't, and I think here's the problem is most politicians don't want to be the one that has to say we're gonna help the market correct, because it'll be rough. It's getting worse and worse and worse. It'll be rough for a season, and no politician wants to be the politician where things get rough. But if we don't do it now, it is going to blow up in our face. We're actually probably postponing things and making it worse, and we probably will have an economic depression if we don't correct it now. I think we're running out of time. So inflation's a really big problem. We've got to have strong leaders, strong political leaders that say, listen, it's time to get this printing of our money, this under control. The spending has got to get under control. Let's get the dollar back in alignment with value because we're losing value right now.
So the folks at Mouthwash Talk Show have asked me to share some of my concerns and opinions on the vaccine mandate. So here's what I'm thinking. It is clearly government overreach to take away bodily autonomy and to take away the right of a citizen to be able to obtain food without a vaccine passport. It's clearly not about keeping the population safe when the effective survival rate is 99%. The number of vaccine injuries and deaths is being hidden, and the number of total deaths is virtually the same from 2019 to 2020. Never before in history has a vaccine been pushed upon the population in such a tyrannical manner. These tyrannical leaders are using businesses to do their dirty work for them. They are demanding patrons to show vaccine passports in order to enter their businesses, or the businesses can be shut down. This is completely illegal and against the Constitution. Your immune system, our God-given immune system, is completely capable of helping us fight off any illnesses, and a person that acquires the virus and overcomes the virus has built-in immunity. There are many known therapeutics that fight viruses, and they're being controlled, and misleading information is being spread about these therapeutics. The fact that vaccinated people are becoming infected, completely vaccinated people are becoming infected and also spreading the virus, is clearly not a reason for us to be mandated a vaccine. Many people are even dying from the virus after being fully vaccinated. When thousands of illegal immigrants are being shipped into the interior of the country infected with COVID, this is clearly not about keeping us safe. The only way we are going to be able to end this tyrannical overreach is through united non-compliance. And those are my thoughts.
Hi, this is Curtis Hill appearing on Mouthwash, and this is the cameo portion of the show. And today we're going to talk a little bit about prison reform. And I've been asked to give some thoughts of my own about prison reform, and I have a variety of those. As you know, I served as Attorney General for the state of Indiana for 4 years, and I was also a longtime prosecuting attorney in Northern Indiana. Sent a lot of people to prison, released some people from prison. And one of the central focuses that we have to consider when we're involved in a discussion about prison reform is what are we really talking about? Um, the question is not, do we put too many people in prison? The question really ought to be, are we putting the right people in prison? Prison as a concept of taking someone's liberty away for committing an act, whether it's a violent act or repetitive acts, it's very serious business. And we certainly should always be looking at ways in which to reform our justice system on a regular basis. We should never just say it's perfect. It's always evolving. So looking at sentencing, what's appropriate sentencing, what's appropriate from a criminal standpoint, those are things that we should look at. But the question goes back to, who do we want to put in prison? Prison should be a place where we have two considerations: that the individual has committed a violent act such that we believe that incarceration will keep others safe from further violent acts of the individual. Or the second basis for considering locking someone away in prison is the repetitive nature of their offenses. Does this person consistently or regularly break the law? Those are the two biggest factors. Unfortunately, we've seen much in the way of prison reform being based on just having too many people in prison. The United States has the highest incarceration rate in the world, and that issue might get people bothered in and of itself. But I go back to the point of who it is that's in prison. If we're putting people in prison for offenses such as taking a Twinkie for the first time from the local 7-Eleven, well, that's obviously inappropriate. But if we're putting people in prison because they are murderers, molesters, or they commit maybe lesser offenses, but they do it over and over and over again, well, there's a point in time where society has to curb or control the behavior of the folks who live within the society rules. So from my perspective, I think that we need to be looking at who ought to be in prison, what those standards ought to be, and then we should be fair-minded about prison. So prison reform shouldn't just be that it's a question of we've got too many people in prison. We have to identify why they're there, what our objectives are as a society in terms of keeping our neighborhood safe and appropriate for the law-abiding citizens that we have. So hopefully we can that can start the basis for the questions that may be coming into the Mouthwash program on this particular segment. Who should we be looking at for prison? Who ought to be going? What are the violent offenses that make up the appropriate person for prison? And what types of repetitive behaviors? Is one time in prison? You commit one offense and you go to prison. You commit 5 offenses, you go to prison. Those are the questions that I think need to be addressed whenever we're talking about prison reform. So with that, I'd like to turn it back to John, and let's see if we can have a lively discussion on prison reform, both here in the state of Indiana and across the nation. Thank you.
Well, there's some good examples of the cameo take, and you don't have to be rich and famous to come on and do a cameo take. All you have to do is send us an email at mouthwashtalkshow@gmail.com, and hey, we'll set up a little recording for you, and you can just rant and rave away if you like. Now we're going to talk about one of our newest segments, and that's Tea Time with the Tea Party, and that's Adam Harvey. And he's going to come on and he's going to give a perspective from a conservative Tea Party standpoint. And so let's have a look-see at just maybe a little bit of what he has to talk.
Good evening. My name is Adam Harvey, and this is Tea Time with the Tea Party. Tonight I want to address 2 huge failures by the current Indiana General Assembly that you should consider in the upcoming primary elections. Both of these failures have to do with the issue of education. One of them I'll just briefly mention, which is your Indiana General Assembly, after listening to a bunch of complaints and concerns by parents on what's being taught in schools, failed to address any of the issues regarding curriculum. And that is the issue of porn and material harmful to minors within schools and libraries. You see, Indiana has a criminal statute. That criminal statute says it is illegal to give material that is harmful to minors. There's a very clear and tested definition of what that means. So when liberals or Democrats or someone from the teachers union tries to say, hey, they're trying to stop teachers from doing any kind of sex education, that's not true. Bona fide sex education, as has taken place in schools for decades, is not included in the legal definition of material harmful to minors. And that's because there are several clear and offensive definitions that apply to what material to minors constitutes. But guess what? It's only illegal to distribute material harmful to minors if it takes place outside of a classroom or a library. But inside a classroom or a library, perfectly legal and explicitly exempted by Indiana law. The General Assembly did not get rid of that exemption, despite multiple proposals to do so in the last 2 legislative sessions. As you consider whether your current state representative should be reelected, you should consider the fact that they didn't act on these very important issues. Just because someone tells you that they're a Republican or a member of any particular political party does not automatically mean that they're conservative or that they have your values at heart. Indeed, the Indiana Republican Party, while claiming to be fiscally conservative and claiming to stand up for the rights of parents, has spent over $1.5 million targeting 2 conservative champion state legislators. They've done all this, and yet they can't even target Andre Carson in the United States Congress. Good luck tonight, Rusty. We hope that you feel a little bit of support here and you feel a little bit of encouragement by having a platform, because pretty sure that the party's not going to help you or whoever comes out of that primary. This is Adam Harvey, and this has been Tea Time with the Tea Party.
And even though Adam's only done a couple of Tea Time with the Tea Parties, we look forward to seeing more from him because he's wise beyond his years. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about, hey, how much fun we have on the show. And hey, sometimes it's fun to make fun of the host. So here's a little clip I'm going to show you of Tiffany making fun of me because the week previous, I replaced her with George Sturgiopoulos, who is a guest on our show, and she took a little offense to it. Hey, let's see what she had to say.
Hi friends, I just wanted to offer some TIFF talk. I'm not on the show this week because John is upset with me. My comments last week, I did not mean to imply that he was a woman. I just simply meant that since he had that big zit on his nose and he was eating salty and sweet snacks and the obvious water retention that was apparent, I kind of figured that he was having some type of hormonal imbalance. Again, I was never questioning his masculinity. But back to the topic at hand, the two-party rule so that somebody can run on the ballot. You know, I'm former military. I'm completely rule-bound. If that's the rule, that's the rule. But what I think is most important is that if someone has to sign your permission slip for you to achieve your destiny, then it may not be the right time. Once you know the rules, you can do what you need to do so that you can be successful. But just remember, if your path to greatness goes through someone else having to sign off on it, then it may not be your time. Thanks so much, and I will see you just as soon as John pulls me off the bench. Bye.
Well, Tiffany got back in the game, and I've really enjoyed the panels. Ed, Tiffany, and Lucy, we just have a great time, and we've actually become pretty good friends. Hard to believe a libertarian, a Republican, a Democrat could actually be friends, but there you go. It's true. It is true. So, hey, tomorrow night we got a special edition. It's Wednesday night, March 20th. We have Dr. Stock coming on. He's going to talk to us about this vaccine and this rumor of snake venom put in it and all these different things and give us sort of an update on the vaccine and where it is. I think you'll be surprised with what he has to say. So tune in. That's live chat on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. So we hope to see you on there. And then, hey, we got a we got a great lineup coming up. You just need to pay attention. Follow us on the Facebook, YouTube, hey, even Twitter. We're all there. We're active, and we got even Rumble. So we upload the shows to Rumble, and you can see them there. So we thank you for joining tonight. We hope you enjoyed the highlights and the lowlights of our show, and we hope to see you in the near future coming on our show. And thanks for tuning in.